back to The Way with Jazz and Tay. We're going to go ahead and jump into our hot topic, which is titled, Is Misogyny In Again? Like I said, of course, we're going to dive into why we're titling it this, but this topic was prompted by, and I'm choosing to call them losers because I don't admire them and I don't think that they are special. The losers of the Fresh and Fit podcast, which it's funny, Shantae shared their podcast with me probably a week or two before all of this negativity surrounding their show popped off. And it was a conversation of like, what are they doing that we aren't? Because they're doing something right. And once we found out what they were doing, we're like, oh, okay. So you have to be aggressive and abrasive and very negative in order to get this kind of growth and attention for your podcast.
The shock and awe.
So for those of you who aren't, very familiar, they have been making some waves over the last few weeks and not necessarily in the best way. One of the first topics that we heard about was they had a panel of women actually on their show, including Asian Doll, who is a rapper, Instagram model, I think. Is she a rapper?
She's a rapper.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to just assume all the dolls are rappers. But she did end up actually walking out after speaking up and defending another woman on the show whom Myron was being very verbally aggressive towards and wasn't really letting her get necessarily like an edgewise. And so that prompted a whole lot of debate and discussion. And more recently, Brittany Renner sat down with the host of the Fresh and Fit podcast on DJ Academic's podcast, Off the Record, to basically, I guess get put in their place. Shantae has queued up a clip for us if you want to go ahead and play that for the listeners.
Guys are trying to get sex.
Here we go.
Girls, a lot of the time, are trying to get what they need to get out of dudes without necessarily giving it up. And some girls are good at it, some girls aren't. And then there's other girls that are kind of models for that are good at finessing dudes. And not to say that you're a finesser, I ain't saying that, but girls are able to, run laps around a lot of guys. And that's why our podcast exists, to help dudes out to understand like how women operate and how they move.
Now, you have a different point of view.
Wait. Where do you think she fits in that? Because, I think her point of view would be diametrically opposed to you guys by saying, well, I'm not the exact typical person who you may think dudes are running into or you're trying to tell people to stay away from.
I mean, well, sure, she could tell. She was saying that we're wrong, I guess, about that.
Well,
so you tell us a little bit about yourself. Then.
No, I think you know more about me than I do myself. So you're saying...
No,
obviously you do, though, because you said that you warn guys about girls like me. So tell me about girls like me. Humor
women
me.
in general. Like, I mean,
don't women in general, because you literally specifically said before we got on here
This was an off-camera conversation.
that you did say that
That's true.
you warn guys about girls like me. So now that we're face to face, what kind of girl am I?
You're not special.
Yes,
you're like
Brittany.
other girls. That's the key.
I'm not special.
Like,
So-
you're like other women that are
So
like...
what makes you special then?
I never said I was. But you're trying to say, well, what makes me different from... Like, a lot of women operate the way you do.
And how do I operate?
In general, what I just said before, women, it's a dance between the two genders. Men are trying to get sex. Women are trying to get resources, time, attention, whatever it is that they're looking for. And a lot of girls play the game better than guys. We talk about this openly on our podcast. And we're teaching guys how to not necessarily get finesse and get what they want out of girls, which a lot of the times is intimacy, but they're not able to get it. But girls are easily able to obtain money, time, resource, attention, whatever it is. Girls are running laps around dudes, which is why podcasts like ours exist.
Do you believe that Brittany has been effective in extracting, as you say, time, resources, and...
I'm just going to pause it because...
I'm sorry. He really thought he said something there. The way that he like pushed his pen and paper away, like I said what I said, mic drop, that's it.
Yeah. And he does kind of like clarify it. And I agree with him to an extent. Because I do think that when women enter into relationships, we are looking for more than just sex. Obviously, why would I be
right.
like, what are we doing? Like, why would I enter into something with somebody and think, oh, we're just gonna, have a good time, roll around in the hay, da 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 da. Never it crossed my mind. To me, his argument is kind of like men just want sex, they don't want relationships. Women want relationships, resources, security, and all this stuff. And I'm like, so what are you out here doing?
See, but he did briefly mention something about intimacy. Men wanting intimacy, but not getting that because women are looking for other things. I know I'm looking for, I definitely, one of the top things I'm looking for in a relationship is intimacy, whether it's physical, whether it's just, being able to be open and vulnerable with one another. That I feel like is intimacy,
Yes.
So for him to kind of like say that, again, diminishes what women supposedly are looking for and want.
Exactly. Jackson, being
he's like, hello.
male side of this, what do you think about what he said?
Well, I mean, there's some YouTube channels like this too, of people that are like, I'm going to teach you how to interact and deal with women, that always
Kevin Samuels.
I don't know names. I don't know names, but the thing that kind of just confuses me about those, and then also what it sounds like this podcast is I feel like if I'm going to try to learn about why women do what they do or how women behave, I don't feel like I'm going to get it from some, jock dude. I'm going to get it from women. So I don't understand how I'm not going to be taught, how women behave from a dude. I feel like I would like to know the women's perspective, maybe from a woman's perspective.
And so a thing that they do on their podcast, and I love that you said that, because when I was telling Jasmine, I was like, what I don't like is that they're like, oh, we're trying to give men game from a woman's perspective, but we're men. Well, you don't know really how women think. And they kept saying to Brittany, they were like, you want this, this, and this. And I was like, no, because she's already said that she's not like other women. She can separate her emotions. She can just, she can do open relationships, polyamory. She just wants the choice. But you're saying all women are one way when you are now sitting in front of a woman that has now created a subsect of women, and you're telling all these men, this is how you need to operate with all women. But Brittany Renner is sitting here like, I'm an exception to the rule. So now how does the game plan or the rule book changed? Like, they're just trying to make generalizations that aren't necessarily true to all women. But something that they do on their podcast is they have their fresh and fit girls. So they'll have a group of women also come on. And this is where Asian Doll came in. They'll have a group of women come on. It's usually more women than them. It's 2 guys on the podcast, and then maybe like 10 girls will come on. And that's their female perspective. However, and this is, I don't want to knock the women that they bring on. However, they are definitely bringing on women who they know they can, like, that seem smarter than one. That's the first thing I want to say. And who are probably trying to kind of clout chase maybe, or like get kind of like attention on them from being on the show, so they can put these women in their place, like he tried to do with Asian Doll. You need to stop talking over the mic. I need you to shut up. And instead of like nicely telling her, hey, it's going to ruin the audio quality for the show, it was like, you need to shut up. And he kept saying that. And that's kind of like his personality. Like, he's very abrasive and harsh, and it's like, it doesn't even really need to be like that.
And so that's why with me, I relate a lot of how he talks to women in a misogynistic way, because women are to be seen, not heard, kind of thing. Or if a man has the floor, you have no business even thinking of speaking. And
he said this.
And that's the kind of thing where it's like, again, it's you want to have this platform and talk about what women like, how they operate, and how to get women, but you don't even know how to talk to them in a respectful manner. Like you're not going to tell me to shut up.
If you're a man taking advice from him, good luck. No, it's a no for me. I'm thinking about the time he like really said, like, if you're my girlfriend, I don't want you speaking. I need you to, I want you to shut up. And I was just like, do I really want to go and listen to that full audio? Because I'm like, what could he have added before and after that would have made that better?
Yeah, are you kidding me? Especially like, I just think about me as a person, and in a relationship, I'm definitely not going to be just sitting there all cute and quiet. Like, especially if, we're in spaces where I feel like I need to speak up. like if something is being said in my presence and that I know is not right or, incorrect, I'm going to speak up regardless of if you think I'm, your partner or whatever, and it's not my place. It's my place to be a voice for those who don't or who can't. And I try to take every opportunity as like a learning opportunity. So I'm going to speak up and try to educate you on why what you're saying and doing is not okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't handle that from coming from a woman.
Jackson, I'd like to ask, so later on, Brittany, we didn't share this in the clip, but later, Brittany asked him, like, what do you get by telling women they're not special? And, he dodges that question. He never really answers it because he's like, I'm just kind of plainly stating like a fact. And I'm like, where's the study and where's the statistics to back it up? But what do you think he gets? Like, in all actuality, what do you think he gets from telling women they're not special?
I mean, I feel like it probably comes from a place of insecurity himself. I feel like maybe he doesn't feel special, so he's got to make sure no one else does. I think it's kind of the kind of the whole bully aspect of, I'm feeling bad, so I want everyone else to feel bad around me. That's the only thing I can understand. I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. I feel like I feel like the exact opposite. I feel like everyone is special in their own way. So I think that's really kind of goofy to listen and someone to say that. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss with that.
I agree with you. I thought it was interesting because as I was saying earlier, he really made it more of a, women aren't different. They're all on like this one track mind, but he just kept saying it. And I was like, I just cannot agree with that. I was like, because everyone should be made to feel special. And he tried to tie it with like what women feel they deserve. Like, you're not special, so you don't deserve a man that you've made all these standards for. And he kept saying that women are delusional and we all think that we're princesses and that we're queens and that we should be treated a certain way, but we should be treated right.
What?
You should treat me with respect at a bare minimum, and then treat me like a queen if that's what I feel I should be treated as. And I don't know why he feels like, I just really find it very interesting that his tactic is diminishing people's worth, because I feel like it's a lot of people's worth's pretty low already. You definitely don't need somebody coming in and being like, you're not special, you're just like her. Yeah. I can have her tomorrow. And then for the person you're trying to be in a relationship, so women are supposed to just settle for a man who's like, I really actually don't care about anything you've got going on. You're here because you've got a hot box. That's terrible. And I would rather be alone. Like, if that's what they're saying, and I really don't feel like that's what they're saying. I just think their delivery is not great.
Yeah.
But it just feels like that's what they're saying to me. And they're saying they're trying to help men be in relationships, but it also sounds like they're trying to help men from getting hurt or being taken advantage of, or to just be able to like see the game. But at the same time, you're taking women down in the process. And so I don't really think you need to do that in order to give them sound advice on dating.
No, Jackson, you're in a committed relationship, correct? Are you?
Yes.
How long have you been with her?
Yeah, it's been, oh goodness, I think about 5.5 years, 5 years.
Oh, okay. So that's even better. So since you've been in a committed relationship, successful, obviously, it's lasted this long. Are these people that you could sit down with and share like your perspective on? Because I'm pretty sure Myron is single. I don't know that he's had a
they
partner.
asked and neither of them answered. So
yeah. So you, someone male, actually having experience, in a real life relationship, are these people that you could have a conversation with and share your perspective on, like, well, me as someone who actually has a girlfriend in a successful relationship, this is what works for me versus what doesn't. Like, could you see that for you with them?
Well, I only saw that 3-minute clip, so I don't know. I don't know how receptive they would be. My guess is probably not super receptive. They seem, I mean, honestly, they seem pretty, I think it kind of goes down to being just kind of guarded, and maybe they have been hurt. They've been hurt in the past, and it's kind of a vicious cycle, really. I feel like they're kind of trying to make men be super guarded about things that in turn make women be guarded about the kind of man that seem like that they're trying to create. So it's just a vicious cycle. So I don't know. I mean, I'm open to talking to anyone, but I don't know how open they are to talk to me.
Right.
They would probably talk to you. They are very open, and like I think they talk a lot about Brittany Renner on their podcast, and they talk pretty poorly about her. And the interview was actually pretty cordial. They were definitely like debating now, and they didn't see eye to eye. But at the end of it, they were all like, we have an understanding, which is what I feel like they all came to the table to do. I feel like it might be one of those episodes where you would be like, okay, I'm not going to be putting this one out possibly, because some of the stuff that they say is just unnecessary.
In your relationship, would you consider it to be a pretty traditional one? I know that, with us being millennials, social media, a lot of stuff has changed. And especially with, we're in this era of trying to make sure that everyone is treated equal, getting rid of those, quote unquote, traditional like gender norms. How does that look like for you? And how do you keep it a pretty like even or equal like playing field? Like what works for you guys, especially in this kind of unfamiliar territory that we're in?
Yeah, I mean that's a loaded question.
I'm sorry.
Not sure. I'm not sure.
And you don't have to get too personal either, of course.
I mean, it's definitely a traditional relationship in the sense that, it's a monogamous relationship between a man and a woman, but otherwise, I mean, I've never been one to be super conformed to gender norms that, hey, the woman does this, the man does this. I would fail at that, honestly, because I'm not super, I don't know that I do all those manly tasks. I'm not one to, fix the car or anything. So
I know I put that in there. I was just like, honestly, I was like, I don't know. What do guys do?
Yeah. So, I mean, if we were trying to conform to gender norms, I would be the one that would be failing the most. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're very equal when it comes to, our lives. I think you've got to be, it's a partnership. It's not a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that is huge. That's very, very important. That's one thing that I do find is like, I've been in a couple relationships, obviously none of which were successful. I'm single now. But there were instances where I feel like maybe traditional like gender norms kind of did get in the way of our growth, or like, maybe even honestly coming from my end, like maybe I expected too much from my male partner. And it created like insecurity because of that. It had nothing to do with maybe like me stepping out or anything like that. It was a financial security. Like I made him feel like as a man he wasn't doing enough for us or for me. So that's interesting to point out. I never thought of myself as being someone who was like, super traditional. And then I look back and in hindsight, I'm like, okay, there were definitely certain things where I've been like, this definitely could have been a 50-50 thing, but I think that comes from having parents who are in their like 60s. I have older parents, and I definitely feel like that some of their older traditions were passed on to me, or just even I witnessed growing up.
I think it's important just to understand everyone comes into a relationship with their own bias, their own perspective, and to think that we don't is you're just kidding yourself. So I mean, honestly, no one's ever gonna, everyone always talks about, oh, he checks all my boxes, or she checks all my boxes. No one's gonna check all your boxes. It's just a matter of finding someone that you can work through maybe those differences with, and find a happy medium. I mean, I guess the kind of the joke to put it a little bit, more goofy is to say, somebody who can put up with my nonsense is what you really got to look for sometimes, rather than the perfect person all the time.
That
Absolutely.
I like that you say that, because I've only recently really been in a place where I'm like, okay, let me seriously try to think about maybe, dating or approaching other folks. And that's something that I'm trying to get out of my head on is, I'm very much oh, well, they have to be attractive. They have to have, again, A, B, C, and D. And like, no, let me stop blocking myself from any future potential like blessings, get out of my head, and let's meet people and actually meet new people for who they are and that kind of stuff. That's huge. Whew,
but knowing what you want
is important as well. That's the other thing too. But I'm still
knowing what you want so that you just don't become susceptible to just like anything.
No.
Yeah. I feel like
compromise
is okay.
I didn't get to finish. I'm sorry. I didn't get to finish.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't get to finish. I cut Shantae off when I started that, and I was like, well, let me let her finish. I was speaking because, like, in my personal experience, I'm the type of person who I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this relationship work. Like, no, we're here, we're in it. We've obviously gotten to this point for a reason. Like, we're gonna work through it. But almost to a fault of where my partner was telling me all these things, and I knew that I wasn't necessarily really on board with, but because I didn't want to lose them, I'm compromising my wants and my needs in a relationship. So that's yes. So that's what I mean. Compromise is an absolute necessity in a relationship. But it's almost to a fault. You don't want to lose yourself by compromising so much.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm glad you guys pointed that out, because I realized as soon as I said it and then just left it there, I was like, oh.
Yeah. I think that's something I could learn a little bit more of, like compromise, being willing to compromise. Like, I'm very comfortable being single. Like, I'm like, you want to come and ruin my peace? No way. That's crazy. But yeah, just like being willing, like if things do get messy, and like not real messy, but just like if there's some difference in opinion, being able to be like, you know what, that it is just what it is, a difference in opinion, but like, do I still like this person? And sometimes I don't like that person, if the difference in opinion is like Myron's, but sometimes it's like, I could have stuck it out, or I could have found a way to make this work, because I feel like I might have like blocked a blessing, because I was just like so quick to be like, and back to being single and comfortable again. But I think that's all we have time for today. We're at about an hour, you guys. This has been a really great conversation.
We did it.
I almost want to do like this conversation with like a bunch of other people just to see what else they say, because I'm like, okay, Jackson, thank you, one, for being a good human and like not being a misogynist, but I want to see if there are like people out there that are like, yeah, I kind of saw what Myron and them were talking about. But I thought this was a really great conversation. It was great to like interview you and hear all of the people that you've interviewed. To our listeners, definitely check out all of those episodes he picked out. I know I'm definitely looking forward to that Green Mile River Killer Detective.
The Green Mile.
Is that what it's called? Green River.
It's a good movie.
River.
I watched the movie and then listen to my podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Green River Killer.
I think I was trying to mix up like 8 Mile.
Green Mile is a movie.
It's a movie. Yeah, does it have Michael Clark Duncan in it?
Yes, R.I.P.
Yeah, I think I'm related to him. Fun facts.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
Bombs at the end.
I know.
As we get out on a tangent, I want to give you some space to let our listeners know where they can find you, Jackson. Go ahead and plug yourself.
Yeah, well, obviously listen on wherever you get your podcast, same place that you listen to The Way. You can listen to me, unless you listen on the radio, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, all those areas. Not in a Huff with Jackson Huff. Love to have you listen. I talk to people from all walks of life, so maybe not every episode is something you're interested in, but I think that there'll be some that you definitely are. So love to have you. JacksonHuff.com. We've got a Facebook page, not in a Huff with Jackson Huff. So yeah, thanks for having me, and anyone who listens, I appreciate that too.
Thank you. All right, well, that is our show today. We will catch you guys next week. Stay black.
Bye, y'all.